传统数据库技术经过30多年的快速发展，已经非常完善，在线下的数据库市场取得了巨大的商业成功。但是云计算的产生对传统数据库技术带来了一系列的挑战，也需要我们对云原生数据库技术进行新的研发和技术落地。云上客户对弹性计算、弹性存储的需求，推动了云原生数据库技术在 serverless 存储计算分离以及利用新硬件进行软硬件一体化设计等等方向，带来了许多新的技术挑战和创新。我们针对云原生数据库技术做出了大量的研发投入，推出了2款云原生数据库产品。第一个是一个 OLTP 线上交易数据库系统 PolarDB， 利用了 serverless 存储计算分离、软硬件一体化设计等等，通过高速的 RDMA 网络提供共享存储的架构，不光是在存储节点，而且是在计算节点也能够进行弹性的缩扩容。另外一款云原生分析型数据库 OLAP 系统。Analytic DB 简称 ADB， 那 ADB 是一个分布式的架构，大量的采用了类似 serverless 存储计算分离的技术，能够做到弹性的调度，对海量的数据能够做到秒级的响应，对复杂的查询场景能够提供在线的互动式分析的体验。
PolarDB 使用先进的云原生设计理念和架构，为高速增长的客户业务场景提供高性能、高吞吐和弹性扩展的能力，现在已经在阿里云生态环境部署，为多个行业客户提供解决方案。
上海百盛软件有限公司是一家新零售整体解决方案提供商，致力于帮助零售企业进行转型创新。PolarDB Active 高可用的集群架构、共享的分布式快存储技术，让集群的计算力发挥到最大，消除了计算瓶颈。在保障高可用的同时，不增加成本，却拥有更优的系统访问性能。而另外 ，PolarDB 借助容器虚拟化技术和共享的分布式快存储技术，可以做到几分钟内在线增加只读节点，极速弹性扩容，并且支持超大的存储容量，这是传统的读写分离模式做不到的，帮助我们从容应对世界杯期间巨大流量增长。
我们上海商帆信息科技有限公司是一家为零售品牌客户提供 SCM 服务的新零售服务商。我们为企业客户和消费者打造的互动平台，在提升消费者购物体验的同时，也帮企业实施用户画像，进行消费行为精准分析，提升营销效益。阿里云数据库 PolarDB 提供极致的性能，较为全面的支持服务，在所有对比测试中，稳定性最好，性价比最高，可以充分满足我们在实时数据聚合能力、系统计算能力等方面的需求。
心动网络呢是一间懂研发的游戏发行公司。网络游戏有个特点，就是用户规模大，而且非常集中，参与度又高，很容易就会呈现爆发式的用户增长。PolarDB 确实能帮助我们在不改变业务代码的情况下，支持服务几千万甚至上亿的活跃用户。而且 PolarDB 还能帮助我们在开发架构上更为简化，减少设计那些过度复杂的分布式系统架构。我觉得云服务最好的一点就是说，大家感觉不到运维存在的时候，就代表运维做得很好。我们的业务人员不需要再去 care 数据库层到底怎么样了，发生了什么，压力如何，他只要去用就好了。我觉得这是它最大的价值。
网云网咖创立于1998年，全球签约已经超过1000家门店，每年的服务人次呢超过3000万，线上线下超过2400万的会员，是网咖行业的一个领导者。网云网咖的业务呢，主要是24小时实时预付费的一个业务，特别是在大数据的背景下，我们希望给顾客一个更好的体验。我们遇到了就是大量会员数据情况下，我们需要分库我们需要解决只读和可写分离的事情。在这种情况下呢，我们发现 PolarDB 完美的解决了这个问题，而且它是无限扩展的。加上我们现在正在建设新一代的计费系统，希望就基于最新的一个数据库的技术，让它满足网云接下去5年的一个发展。
快推是一家营销技术公司，专门利用营销自动化和人工智能技术，帮助企业更加智能地连接它的客户和消费者。所以每天都会产生大量的用户之间的关系链数据，每周都会产生100G 以上的数据增量。所以我们自己原有的 RDS 数据库容量已经接近饱和。PolarDB 的无感知存储在线扩容能力，可以很好的解决我们的数据库存储容量问题，实现了主库和只读库之间的毫秒级数据同步，最优化了数据库的集群负载，减少了我们之前 RDS 数据库的数据同步延迟问题。
依托阿里云进行数字化系统运营，是我们杭州爱尚珠科技有限公司向新地产公司转型的重要一环。爱尚珠的业务需要对海量的分散的房源进行高效的管理和运营。那么PolarDB 呢，产品非常符合我们的需求。PolarDB 的极致性能、可快速扩展的特性，极大地提升了公司的业务运转效率，同时与 MySQL 100%兼容的特性，有效地减少了开发和运维的成本。
作为在广告监测领域技术领先的第三方广告大数据服务公司，我们浙江华智数据主要通过对大量广告样本的收集和统计，对广告和营销活动进行有效的监控和分析。PolarDB 所具有的分布式存储以及独显分离的架构特点，以及高可扩展、高可用和高兼容的性能优势，不仅为我们带来了千万级广告数据的查询秒级响应能力，也有效降低了应用开发和数据库衔接的实现成本。
法大大是一家为互联网金融、O2O 电子商务、企业及个人提供在线合同缔约、证据托管的开放式服务平台。随着数据的急剧增长，单台数据库的写性能已经达到了极限，而阿里云的 PolarDB 能解决我们目前遇到的这些问题。通过计算存储分离、线性扩容读节点，同时 I/O 性能随着存储容量的增加而提升，多副本的数据备份机制也最大程度地保障了我们数据库数据的安全。
猿辅导是一家 K12的在线教育公司。我们公司拥有7款核心的教育应用，像猿辅导、小猿搜题、猿题库、斑马英语。目前我们为全国超过2亿的中小学生用户提供了包括在线直播课、搜题答疑、知识硬题库等在线教学的服务。目前我们在多个场景都用到了阿里云的 PolarDB。PolarDB 首先它全面的兼容 MySQL， 使得我们能够业务迁移是零成本。其次，它的高性能和高可扩展性能够让我们轻松地支持几十万的学生同时在线直播听课和做题。再者，它弹性扩收容的特性能够让我们在应对像暑假这种学生的旺季和平时的淡季这种需求变化的场景，能够让我们在节约成本的同时为用户提供流畅的在线教学体验。
作为全国首批 SaaS 系统开发者，我们苏州果仁软件开发的客到人耕智能餐饮管理系统，旨在帮助餐厅经营者打通数据环路，并将来自客户端的数据实时上云。选择 PolarDB 不仅是因为其分布式存储设计能有效应对海量数据的挑战，更因为其强大的计算能力能有效提高复杂报表的查询效率，使客到系统能够更充分地发掘餐饮数据的内在价值，提升用户的经营效率。
京东筹作为全民健康保障平台，我们首创了大病救助模式，通过社交强关系为大病患者提供高效便捷的筹款渠道。随着时间的累积，需要处理的数据每年以 T 级别新增，原有数据库已经达到存储上限。PolarDB 采用分布式存储结构，根据数据增长自适应增加存储空间，按量计费，不必为数据容量的限制和升级所担忧。同时 ，PolarDB 的读写分离架构很好地支撑了数据写入和即时数据检索同时进行的场景，能够在几分钟内在线增加只读节点，进一步提升系统的吞吐处理能力。结合读写分离连接地址，自动将请求识别转发，通过自适应负载均衡处理，让集群的计算力发挥到最大，消除计算瓶颈。
除了全域布局之外，我们对新技术的投入也是不遗余力，在智能化数据库以及安全数据库上投入了大量的核心的研发力量，希望能够利用智能化的技术 来优化我们的数据库内核以及我们的管控平台。数据安全方向，我们希望能够提供全链路的数据监测、隐私保护以及加密查询等等一系列技术，来保证客户数据在我们数据库里面的绝对安全。我们希望能够通过集团的业务来对这些新技术进行验证和落地，为我们云智能的客户提供高效、可靠、安全、可信的企业级数据库服务。
EP is a new social media application promoting platform for content creator to get more exposure globally and getting rewards by users that like their content in the application. As a social media application, go-to-market time is crucial. Juggling between MVP and iteration is always a challenge. Besides that, exponential of scaling of concurrent user activity in app is unpredictable. So, scaling of instances and resources in matter of seconds is another big challenge for us.
As we are serving millions of users worldwide, we were looking hard for a cloud service provider that has a strong global presence, especially in China. We use a lot of Alibaba cloud services and on-demand infrastructures, such as container services, PolarDB, and Epsilon Live.
Social interaction has become more important than ever today, as people consume social media on a daily basis for communication and e-commerce. Social media app today has taken off in various forms such as short video, live streaming, instant messaging, and others. We believe the next super apps in Southeast Asia will heavily rely on social media that will combine all forms in one. That's why we are in this game.
แค่คุณดาวน์โหลดแอป EP นะคะโพสต์รูปสวยๆทุกวันแค่นี้คุณก็มีเงินเข้ากระเป๋าทุกเดือนแล้วค่ะ相比起其他的平台呢，我觉得 EP 更让我可以在里面有个很好的创业，因为呢，跟其他的社交平台比起来呢，它的增粉速度可以更快，这让我在里面有一个很好的发展。
As a young startup compared to a big enterprise, we are very fortunate to be able to build our infrastructure using modern cloud technology. In this case, Alibaba Cloud. Thank you. With all the infra ready, we can focus more on building our business.
Alibaba Cloud caters for rapid development and is able to accommodate instant scaling of supporting user base by event basis, especially when there are high volume of traffic into the app.
The current collaboration with Alibaba Cloud matches with our roadmap expectation very well. In the future, we definitely want to work closer with Alibaba Cloud to further explore data trend and predictions, leveraging on our data set collected in the coming years.
My name is James Fitzgerald from the Alibaba Cloud, and I'd like to welcome you all to the conference. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. I'll be your host for the next 2 hours, helping you discover the latest developments of our next-generation cloud-native database solution, PolarDB for PolarDB and AnalyticDB. Less than a decade ago, setting up a distributed database system across many multinational locations was a considerable challenge. Today, we can do a similar thing in just a few hours in our laptops in coffee shops. The reason for this extraordinary advance is because someone else takes care of the hard work of setting up and configuring the physical infrastructure. And that someone else is a cloud provider like Alibaba Cloud, offering database as a service products across the globe. Alibaba Cloud has been at the forefront of cloud database product offerings for many years, and is considered to have a strong position in the marketplace. Alibaba Cloud is the only Asia-Pacific brand listed in Gartner's 2019 Magic Quadrant for Operational Database Management Systems, and is ranked first among database management system providers in Asia-Pacific and third in the world in terms of market share. Today, I've invited some of our database product experts from the US, China, and Singapore to join us remotely during this unprecedented situation. They will share more updates on the latest recognition by top global institutes, the extreme performance in online transaction processing, or OLTP, and online analytical processing, or OLAP, and the value for your business to adopt our OLTP or OLAP solutions. With the experience in serving over 1 million paying customers worldwide, we understand the fear and frustration when it comes to planning and managing database migration. So today, we will also be introducing our Database Expert Service, which provides unparalleled service to ensure a smooth database migration from legacy systems. So we've invited Kopi Kenangan, an innovative retail brand with an extensive footprint in Indonesia, to share their perspectives on how to thrive in today's digital economy. Last but not least, we will be announcing 2 special offers, including details on our $1 for the first month deal to start testing and using our latest database products, as well as free database training and certification support. Please stay tuned for these great offers. So, without further ado, let's welcome our first speaker, Damai Ni, to kick off the launch conference. Over to you, Damai.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alibaba Online Conference 2020. I'm Damai Ni, Product Manager of Alibaba Cloud. I'm responsible for database on international market. Very glad to have this opportunity to talk about the database solution on top of the world-leading cloud-native database system from our database team. Database systems have been with our daily life for half a century. By looking back to the past, we can better understand today and into the future. The first commercial relational database system by Oracle and IBM are the classical online transactional system. It serves data recording, for example, banking transactions, deposit, withdrawal, transfer. The system facing the challenge of high concurrency and the need to guarantee record correctness and consistency with performance and provide high availability. With the data size growth, one likes to analyze and extract the business value from the data. Let's introduce the online analytical processing, OLAP, providing interactive business analysis on massive data. In the early 21st century, led by Google, NoSQL concept was introduced. It loses some requirement of strong consistency to achieve horizontal scalability and the flexibility to support unstructured data, such as temporal spatial, text, graph database. Now, in 2020, while admiring the elegant design such as IBM DB2, Oracle, Teradata, we are facing new challenges that were not considered in 80s or 90s. Well, those coming with opportunity. The well-established cloud infrastructure, resource pool and virtualization make cloud native a reality, and the distributed technology empowered database system. We just discussed transactional processing, analytical processing, and NoSQL. For many enterprise business, 2 or more DB engines are necessary to work together on top of operational platform and database utilities. Understanding such customer demand, Alibaba provides PolarDB family and its shared nothing scale-out variety of PolarDB X, and its private cloud appliance, PolarDB Box. On the OLAP side, Analytic DB supporting petabyte of data, and the serverless data lake analytics that integrate with Presto and Spark. The powerful combo of the two grew from Alibaba internal business while stress tested by 10 years of Double 11 events and matured as commercial offering for international market. First, PolarDB, that built on top of distributed architectures. PolarDB has RDMA in the middle of the architecture to provide a high-speed network. Under that is the storage engine. It can have many data chunk servers under RDMA, acting as if there is just one huge local disk to upper layer. This is the storage layer to ensure high availability of data, with each chunk has its replica and the distributed consensus algorithm is an enhanced parallel raft, which maintains 3 copies of data, provide high availability that are often required by mission-critical workload, such as financial business. Decoupled from storage engine, the upper layer is the computation node. There's a primary one, also called the master node. This node will serve both write and read. Others will be read-only node. By separating write and read, the read-only node takes care of the complex query with high concurrency, and all the writes and updates are taken care by the master node. This avoids the complexity from the distributed transactions, which often impact performance greatly. With the core advantage of PolarDB, it can manage up to 100 terabytes of data and serve millions QPX, provide backup restore and expansion within minutes. Alibaba has the tradition of embracing the open source. With that, PolarDB is 100% compatible with MySQL and 100% Postgres compatibility. Also, by leveraging the SQL engine and with additional enhanced feature that's highly compatible with Oracle, so that PolarDB provides significant performance over existing popular database systems and also compatible with their ecosystem. So most user applications can easily migrate over with minimal or no change at all. We have customers need to understand the peak period user activities in real time, optimize supply chain and delivery, and an online retailer depend on us to adjust promotion items on the fly. That comes the Analytics DB, which is different than the other traditional data warehousing solution, such as big data with Hadoop or Spark, that suffering the curse of the last reducer, or data cube that highly depends on the matching of predefined dimensions. Analytics DB built on top of shared nothing architecture, which empowers the system to deal with virtually unlimited data. And several efforts happens here. First, with row-column hybrid storage, row storage handle insert, update, delete, and column storage is highly efficient for analytical processing. Second is to improve our traditional database index, such as B-tree, hash index, because they are expensive. Analytics DB uses new index such as inverted, bitmap, vector index, which significantly reduce cost of index. Third, massive parallel processing and DAG optimizer provide large-scale distributed computations over complex query. All this effort unquestionably lead to the result of performance. Well, performance is always a relative term. Please don't take my word for it. For database professionals, TBC benchmarks are like the Olympic Games when evaluating DB performance. After carefully auditing, TBC organization just published two latest results about TBC DS and TBCH. Both are decision support benchmarks, and AnalyticDB ranked on top of each category. Last but not least, I'd like to provide a preview of a wonderful section later today. Kopi Kanaga is a fast-growing coffee chain in Asian Pacific. Its new retail business model certainly won't be forecast 20 years ago, nor could be supported by legacy database system at that time. On one hand, its ordering system demands high concurrency with low latency, needs scalability during flash sale, and need to release the resource at the off-peak time for cost efficiency. So cloud-native PolarDB combined with the Redis cache layer make perfect match here. On another hand, understanding consumer behavior, evaluate the efficiency of each promotion are essential for day-to-day business decision. AnalyticDB steps in as real-time data warehousing with cloud-native capacity. And there's one more thing. With the cross-country, cross-region infrastructure provided by Alibaba Cloud, everything runs on one platform. Although thousands miles apart, as if the consumers and the engineer team of Kopi Kanaga are always in one coffee shop. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time. Please stay tuned for the more exciting section after this.
Thank you, Demai, for your introduction to PolarDB and AnalyticDB. Our next speaker, Julian Zhou, will dive deep into Alibaba Cloud's cloud-native database portfolio. By combining PolarDB, designed for transactional workload, and AnalyticDB, built for analytical workload, it can provide extensive data processing capability with fast elasticity, high performance, as well as cost efficiency. Welcome to the show, Julian.
Thank you, James. Welcome everyone to join our online launch conference. I'm Julian Zhou from Alibaba Cloud Database Product Team. Today, I will be sharing the latest updates of Alibaba Cloud's database solutions, including PolarDB and AnalyticDB. Both two products are cloud-native. PolarDB is cloud-native database for transactional workloads, while AnalyticDB is cloud-native data warehouse for analytical workloads. And we have a good news that AnalyticDB recently got top 1 performance results for both the TBCH and the TBCDS benchmark worldwide. So combining these two can provide you extensive data processing capability with fast elasticity, high performance, as well as cost efficiency. So let's get started. First, let's go through the overview. Then, I will bring you the highlights and new updates for both PolarDB and AnalyticDB. Then the case study with our customers' successful stories. First, overview. This is the history of PolarDB in Alibaba. At the time of 2008, Alibaba was using IOE, IBM Machine, Oracle Database, EMC storage. Due to both the IT cost and scalability reason, we have decided to move to open source and a distributed solution to build the large-scale system supports the business development and increasing. We have done lots of enhancements in MySQL and storage layer like SSD for high concurrency and low latency. In 2014, PolarDB project was incubated for the storage and compute decoupling for the purpose of handling the challenge of fast business growth. Since we need more agile compute resource scalability, need more storage capacity. And the fast failover, scalability, disaster recovery must also be there. So at the beginning, the engine is mainly MySQL. PolarDB is GA in 2017, also available in public clouds for cloud users for their business growth as well. Since also we have other database engine requirements, we also build PostgreSQL and Oracle compatible version into the PolarDB. The very beginning name of AnalyticDB is Garuda, to turn the analytics to real-time at the very first time to support Alibaba business, especially for advertising and user profiling analysis. It went to clouds at 2014. As we know, now we have two versions. One is AnalyticDB for MySQL version 3.0, and the newest version of AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL is 6.0. PolarDB and AnalyticDB were both born to meet the business demands of Alibaba Group and also drive the new business in the cloud era. This is the portfolio for the PolarDB and AnalyticDB. There are three sub-versions for PolarDB: PolarDB MySQL, PolarDB for PostgreSQL, and PolarDB Oracle, and two for AnalyticDB: AnalyticDB for MySQL and AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL. PolarDB's positioning is pretty clear. It is cloud-native Super MySQL, Super PostgreSQL, and Super Oracle. When customer is selecting PolarDB, this is the answer. MySQL is easy to migrate to PolarDB MySQL. PostgreSQL is easy to migrate to PolarDB PostgreSQL. And the PolarDB Oracle is the choice for migrating Oracle to Alibaba Cloud. AnalyticDB is similar, but slightly different. When customer has MySQL as the transactional database, we strongly recommend choosing AnalyticDB MySQL as the cloud data warehouse. There is a basic addition called MySQL Analytical Instance, which is tightly paired with RDS MySQL, and a customer can buy directly on RDS MySQL Web Console. MySQL Analytical Instance is ongoing and will be available at international sites before September this year. It is a good staging solution for analytics before the data goes really big, such as more than hundreds of gigabytes. When customers are using Oracle SQL Server, then the AnalyticDB PostgreSQL is a choice. Also, when a customer is using data warehouse including Oracle, Teradata, Greenplum, or Vertica, AnalyticDB PostgreSQL is also a choice for them. ClickHouse is going to generally available at international sites this year for the query acceleration scenarios. Also for the customer who are looking for hosted ClickHouse on Alibaba Cloud. From the global cloud data warehouse provider perspective, if customer is playing around Redshift, Azure Synapse Analytics, Google BigQuery, or Snowflake, then the AnalyticDB is recommended on Alibaba Cloud for them. So, combining these two, PolarDB and AnalyticDB, we can provide you the cloud-native database solution for both transactional workload and analytical workload. No matter what database you are using currently, MySQL, PostgreSQL, or Oracle, PolarDB has suitable version for migration to cloud native. If you are using data warehouse like Redshift, Teradata, or Oracle RAC, AnalyticDB can also work for cloud native data warehouse for you. DTS, Data Transmission Service, is the bridge or data channel to connect the transactional database and the analytical data warehouse. Your business data and the data changes are immediately captured and synchronized to the cloud-native data warehouse. With this solution, business application, BI report, data application, or data scientist are all based on cloud-native database platform with fast elasticity, high performance, and cost efficiency. Next, PolarDB highlights and updates. This is the architecture of the PolarDB. Mainly, we have 3 layers, from top to bottom: PolarDB proxy, compute node, and Polar Store. Application is talking with Polar proxy, which handles the client connection. In the proxy, key components and features are built in, such as self-defined read-write splitting, which is commonly used in application for stability. It helps routing the write request to primary nodes and routing the read request to primary and read-only nodes. You can configure to not route read request to primary nodes. Auto-load balancing and fast switchover are for sure to have for providing the concurrency capacity and high availability. Another thing is security. The proxy can auto-detect the attack operation and reject properly to protect the backend cluster. There are 2 types of nodes, primary and read-only. Read-only nodes can be scaled out up to 15 nodes. Every node can be scaled up or down as well. Polar Store is the shared distributed storage layer. Basically, data has 3 copies in data chunks. They are replicated based on redo log and synchronized via parallel raft protocol to ensure the data consistency. Compute node and Polar Store communicate via RDMA, which could achieve extremely low latency, just like accessing data at local. Better read-only instance. This is comparing with RDS read-only nodes. Redo log replication is fast to apply data for read on read-only nodes. They are attached under Polar proxy for load balancing, and when pulling up a new read-only nodes, buffer pool is warmed up as soon as possible for performance. This is to avoid slow read when cold starting a new read-only nodes. PolarDB provides 3 types of endpoints. The first one is primary endpoint. It is only for data writing to primary nodes. The second one is cluster endpoint. It is for load balancing all nodes, including primary and read-only nodes. The third one is customized cluster endpoint. It supports customization to define endpoint. Different read-only nodes serve different business applications, which is very flexible. This is the Polar Store architecture. Control and data is decoupled as well in Polar Store. Basically, control cluster is built as microservices. It is no error handling logic such as if-else in data paths. All of this control logic is within the control path. So very little context switch in data paths to get the low latency. If control cluster failed, the data path is not affected, so data path is very stable. Polar Store is designed and implemented as bypassing operating system with 0 copy. Operating system only do the initialization of disk, network, and the database instances. After that, data operation is purely bypass the operating system with single memory copy in the whole distributed Polar Store. Data transmission via DMA locally and RDMA remotely. This is real 0 copy. 3 copy of data cross RDMA on trunk servers by mapping the data space address in memory, which is pretty fast. And the parallel raft protocol is to make sure that the data consistency across 3 copies on 3 chunk servers. Parallel raft has been patented. Basically, it is an enhancement and modification to the raft protocol. Operation in raft is in sequence, while the parallel raft breaks this sequential operation to get concurrency, but still make sure the correctness of the consistency. This is an overview of IBTune for database buffer pool tuning. As we know, buffer pool is the internal hot memory space for the database engine. You can put larger buffer pool to pin more data pages in it with more memory cost. Well, the cost is still concerned for cost efficiency. So how to adjust and tune the buffer pool size is one of the factors DBA usually cares about. The workflow of IBTune is that collecting the system profile, processing in real time, then decision making via prediction model to derive the tuning actions, then apply them. So it is a feedback loop for continuous tuning with very small system footprint. This has been applied in PolarDB with about 22% memory saving. By the way, IBTune has been published with a paper in VLDB 2019. MySQL is still the most popular open source database choice, so it provides several ways to migrate the MySQL database to PolarDB for MySQL. It can be RDS for MySQL, MySQL installation on ECS, MySQL in local IDC, or even the AWS Aurora or RDS. Basically, DTS, a data transmission service, is helping all of this. Just a single click, the whole migration procedure is automatically hosted and monitored. It supports full or incremental migration, and the graphic user interface is provided on the web console. The whole procedure is with zero or minimal downtime of the business. Another thing need to mention is that the migration can be rolled back, which is up to user. If they want to give up the migration, we give user the maximal choice from this perspective. Snapshot backup recovery in PolarDB. When storage capacity is up to 100 terabytes, backup is really a challenge for database. In PolarDB, we use the distributed snapshot to achieve the fast data backup. ROW, redirect on write. No need to copy the data every time when snapshot is taken. Snapshot backup has nothing to do with the capacity, no matter the size of data. The data can be backed within 30 seconds. Now, let's take a look at the key updates recently for PolarDB. For the security, SSL is available now for data encryption during the transmission. TDE, transparent data encryption, is supported for PolarDB MySQL 8.0, PostgreSQL, and Oracle versions. For the transaction, global consistency is now supported for more strict consistency level across sessions on primary nodes and read-only nodes. So now we have eventual consistency, session read consistency, and global consistency with system overhead from low to high, but data consistency for application from weak to strong. For high availability, now PolarDB supports primary zone selection. Customer can change the primary availability zone as needed according to business and disaster recovery consideration within some minutes. Okay, PolarDB MySQL 8.0. We are the world's first cloud-native database supporting MySQL 8.0, which means that you can now using all MySQL 8.0 features like window functions, common table expression, JSON on PolarDB and only on PolarDB with cloud-native manner. We Alibaba Cloud also did lots of enhancement on it. Parallel query is one of them. With parallel query can be accelerated with multiple core utilization in parallel. In TBCH benchmark, 70% of the query are accelerated as you can see in the chart. Some query even got 27 times faster. Please scan the QR codes for more information about parallel query in PolarDB MySQL 8.0. AnalyticDB highlights and updates. PolarDB is mainly for transactional workloads, while the AnalyticDB is mainly for analytical workloads. Analytics is on top of big data, but only big is more and more not enough. It should be fast, which means to quickly turn data into business value. So fast data means that fast and online. Everything should be on real-time data, real-time computing. It also should be full data instead of analysis on sampling data or short-term data. AnalyticDB has two subversions with different SQL dialect ecosystem choice. That is AnalyticDB for MySQL for the MySQL compatibility, which is the orange color on the map. AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL for PostgreSQL compatibility, which is in blue color. Both products are focusing on two aspects, performance and ecosystem. Performance means that low analytical queries response time, big data storage capacity, and low BI latency from T+1 to second for real-time scenarios. Ecosystem means easy to use, easy to connect, and easy to migrate. If you are with Oracle analytical workloads, there needs somehow minimal modification to migrate to AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL. As you can see on the map, we have launched AnalyticDB globally. So first, AnalyticDB for MySQL. This is the AnalyticDB for MySQL architecture. Basically, service components of the engine is tiered from top to bottom, including cloud service, optimizer, compute engine, and storage engine. Cloud service provides all the external interfaces such as JDBC, ODBC connector protocol, and the services integration and interaction with other cloud infrastructure such as cloud accounts and load balancer. Optimizer is one of the key components. It's just like a brain to select an optimal execution plan for the query, telling how the query will be executed within the compute engine and the storage engine. Cloud service and optimizer are within the controller, as you can see in the controller group. There are not only one controller in the controller group for the high availability and concurrency capacity design. There will be a leader controller, which handles the coordination work. Compute engine handles the query execution unit across a bunch of distributed workers. Some workers are stateless only with the query task. Some workers contain the local SSD cache, so they also have storage engine, which will interact with the data storage both on the object store OSS and the cloud SSD as the local SSD cache. When executing a distributed query plan, data exchanges happens among the workers. This is the MPP architecture, which is massive parallel processing to fully utilize the concurrent workers to get fast query response time. Data write and the MPP query are split to get overall good performance and the system stability. You can use standard MySQL or PostgreSQL connector or compatible clients to connect to AnalyticDB for MySQL or AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL respectively. This is easy to use and very convenient to build analytical application and a BI solution on top of them. Performance is one of the most important things for real-time data warehouse. We are continuously investing and putting a lot of efforts on optimizing and evolving the system and the query performance. Here is the recent TBCH benchmark comparison between AnalyticDB for MySQL and many other analytics projects and database alternatives. Okay, just a little more about TBCH. TBCH is a benchmark from TBC organization. There are a bunch of TBC series of benchmarks for different types of workloads, such as TBCC for transactional workloads, TBCH for data warehouse workloads, such as the AD hoc analytics and decision support. Basically, it is an inventory schema with 8 tables, and there are 22 queries to measure various aspects of a data warehouse design and implementation, such as point and range filtering, subquery, correlated subquery, semi-join, and anti-semi-join, indexing, and I/O behavior for data scanning. SF means the scale factor. 1 means 1 GB. We are showing these results by comparing SF100, which is against 100 GB datasets. We put MySQL, Presto, Spark, Impala, and PolarDB with the equivalent resource specification in the list for comparison. AnalyticDB for MySQL here, we have 2C8, which have 6 nodes, while Presto, Spark, and Impala are distributed cluster as well with 6 nodes respectively. Here is the result updated last month. For the elapsed time, AnalyticDB for MySQL cost 167 seconds. For sure, it is much faster than MySQL in single nodes. PolarDB is transactional workload oriented. We put here to give you an overview that how fast the AnalyticDB is comparing with the advanced OLTP system. Need to mention that we also enable the parallel query features in PolarDB MySQL version 8.0. It is some faster than the case without parallel query. AnalyticDB is about average 10 times faster than Presto, Spark, and Impala. Some queries even could not finish within Presto and Impala due to out-of-memory or syntax compatibility issues. So actually, AnalyticDB is even much faster than the numbers shown here. Now, the most exciting news comes. This month, AnalyticDB for MySQL just got the top 1 TBC-DS benchmark results, which strongly demonstrate the world-leading performance and cost efficiency in the cloud data warehouse area. Similar with TBCH, TBC-DS is also a decision support and analytical benchmark, but especially for the longer-running complex queries of data mining and knowledge discovery. It is more complex than TBCH with 24 tables and 99 queries. This time, AnalyticDB for MySQL tests the 10 terabytes datasets, which is very typical data size for data warehouse scenario on clouds. The version for the benchmark is the same with the version on Alibaba Clouds. So we, at the very beginning, deliver the cutting-edge cloud-native data warehouse performance to our customer just on clouds. AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL. As we know, AnalyticDB for MySQL is for extreme performance with high concurrency and low latency real-time data warehouse scenario. Another cloud-native product, AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL, is for more comprehensive data warehouse support. With more OLAP function and features, and even for HTAP workloads, which is hybrid transactional and analytical processing. This is the physical architecture of PolarDB for PostgreSQL. Its kernel is based on Greenplum, but with Alibaba Cloud enhancement on it. From top to bottom, SQL client with JDBC, ODBC, or C API connects to proxy with load balancing features and some network protection features. Queries are sent to coordinator. There are more than 1 coordinators in a single cluster to handle the concurrent query processing. Each coordinator contains SQL parser, query optimizer, distributed transaction manager, catalog, query executor, and dispatcher. Query execution plan is distributed plan to be dispatched to multiple compute nodes. All these nodes are interconnected for data motion, which is data movement and shuffling during query execution in MPP manner. Each compute node contains modules including segment instance, local catalog, local transaction manager, local query executor, and user objects. OSS is utilized for backup set storage, enabling data backup and recovery. Also, OSS can be external storage for data accessing from AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL, like external tables. As I mentioned before, with full set of SQL features based on GreenPlum kernel, which is PostgreSQL kernel basically, AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL is highly compatible with Oracle, Teradata, and Redshift. It is good for migrating from traditional data warehouse to cloud data warehouse. Based on data warehouse methodology, data are synchronized, integrated, and migrate from database or big data system to landing tables within AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL. Then there are two ways for next steps. Landing tables can support real-time data exploration to BI data mining scenarios. Another way is to staging tables and ETL to data cubes for data mart. Then enable BI and data mining scenarios. AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL now has released version 6.0, which updates with GreenPlum kernel version 6.0. Correspondingly, the PostgreSQL version is upgraded to 9.4. In this way, all new features of PostgreSQL 9.4 and GreenPlum 6.0 are brought in, such as data type for JSON-B, UUID, range, full text search index, and SPGIST index, and especially recursive CTE and PL/SQL are enhanced for better SQL and application support. From HTAP perspective, features like global deadlock detection and index-only scan improve transactional workload performance. And from OLAP perspective, replicated table reduce the data shuffling for query execution, and the ZSTD compress algorithm improve the compression and decompression performance. AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL also passed the largest scale analytical database performance certification of CAICT. CAICT is China Academy of Information and Communications Technology. In this certification, AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL runs against 100 terabytes TBCDS datasets on a cluster with 640 MPP nodes. This is a picture showing both the batch and incremental data import and migration workloads from AWS Redshift to PolarDB for PostgreSQL. For more data warehouse like Teradata, Oracle, and Redshift migration to AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL, please scan these QR codes for more detailed guidance and steps. Case study. Customer success is always the first driven motivation for our database technology and product development. Let's come to some typical customer success stories and scenarios on top of this cloud-native database solution, PolarDB and AnalyticDB. First, PolarDB. The key for PolarDB is its fast elasticity according to business workload. Scale out or scale up at peak time, while scale in or scale down at low time, which helps customers saving cost with minimal idle cloud resource waste. What's important as well is that PolarDB MySQL and PolarDB PostgreSQL are 100% compatible with MySQL and PostgreSQL, so it is very easy to build application from scratch on top of them, or migrate application from existing MySQL or PostgreSQL. Here are 3 typical customers from online education, internet mobile application, and gaming. This online education customer is serving 200 million students in China. Recently, in the coronavirus situation, the business workload even burst a lot. By using PolarDB to handle the workload during the peak hour elastically, the system concurrency capacity increased quickly. At the same time, the overall cost reduced 70% comparing with the legacy database system with fixed resource specification. The similar things happened as well for Internet mobile application company and gaming company in the storage and concurrency capacity increasing and cost-saving dimensions. This is the case of a top e-commerce customer in APAC. The goal is to leverage the cloud-native high elasticity and availability on cloud to reduce Oracle license cost. Basically, the project is the migration of the mission-critical workload from their on-premise Oracle to cloud-native PolarDB for Oracle, with the help of ADEM for application evaluation and a DTS data transmission service to support bidirectional data transmission. We also provide a professional service of training, service, and system verification, also the on-duty for the switchover to help the migration smooth. This is a mobile gaming company as a top internet game service provider in China. This customer has several gaming centers in China, Singapore, US, and Europe regions. What's the challenge for them is that they need a powerful and easy-to-scale database system to build a global user center for all the users and subscribers all over the world for faster growth. The global user center would be huge data storage for player registration data, friendship relationship data, mailing list data, property access data, and mobile email data, etc. The PolarDB cloud-native features, including the up to 100 terabytes shared storage and the stateless scalable compute nodes, just meet the needs of this challenge very well, which empowers business growth plan in the next few years. Coming to AnalyticDB, the key to AnalyticDB is real-time data warehouse to unleash the business value. Analytics for business value is hard to measure generally. Each customer, each industry has its own story to tell, but it is definitely an engine for business growth and becoming more and more important for digital transformation. Here are these three typical scenarios. The first one is evolving from BI on RDS read-only nodes to more powerful analytics on AnalyticDB. Read-only is still handling simple BI reports, with data synchronization from transactional RDS or PolarDB to AnalyticDB. More complicated analysis query can run to support real-time analytical application logic. The second one is co-working with offline big data warehouse such as EMR, Hadoop system, mass compute. They are handling batch processing workload. Data backflow to AnalyticDB, which is online real-time data warehouse to support real-time BI application such as advertising, risk monitoring, and so on. The third one is the log. Actually, log data is very big data source on cloud environments, including log from application on ECS, Docker, and Kubernetes. Log is collected by log service or other open source log collector like Logstash, then streaming to AnalyticDB. Within AnalyticDB, schedule ETL to clean and transform the data to power the real-time BI applications. AnalyticDB is nice to power the real-time analytics for a lot of industries. Typical customers are in logistics, internet fintech, software as a service provider, e-commerce, and even government services. This is a real customer case in the logistics industry. The original BI report is very simple and built directly on RDS for MySQL. With rapid business growth, the data within the customer's business database system grows super quickly as well. So BI latency becomes slower and even run out of time with query failure sometimes. To resolve this slow query issue, and even make the logistic business operation more intelligent with more complex analytical query, they need to build data warehouse from scratch as soon as possible and also with low system operational cost. So they just pull up AnalyticDB for MySQL on Alibaba Cloud, connecting their message queue system and RDS for MySQL to AnalyticDB with JDBC and DTS. Then build BI reports and operational visualization against AnalyticDB. The whole procedure costs 1 month and a half by just a few engineers. And the new data warehouse system is purely cloud native and makes the logistic operation much more intelligent and quickly responsive to the real-time business flow. This is a government service case. The government of a pioneer province in China did the service flow refactoring and optimization on government clouds. This government cloud is built on top of Alibaba Cloud. Basically, it is a new unified operational platform built on AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL with almost all the service workflow online. Data is shared and federated for more than 460 departments. This platform also supports these departments' online service applications. During the night, data ingest into the data warehouse and the ELT jobs were running, while during the daytime, the platform supports the online service applications. With the help of the platform, the services are online for 24 hours, and more than 650 government KPIs are published to the citizens. Other provinces in China are copying this successful case now to improve the government service. This is a case of unified data analytics platform serving software as a service provider. On this platform, there are 330,000 sellers operating their online business there. All these sellers' business data, such as orders, buyers, and members' user profile, are stored in a bunch of RDS for SQL Server supporting some CRM system in Microsoft ecosystem. Business data are synchronized to AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL. To support so many sellers, they currently have more than 30 clusters of AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL. Each one supports a number of tenants. Each tenant supports a seller for data analytics space. It is a hybrid workload manner, including complex ELT job, multiple dimensional analysis, and real-time BI reporting. Data scale grows very fast, with online e-commerce business grows fast at the same time. This is an internet fintech customer case. According to the business workload pattern, the systems on clouds are designed and split in 2 dimensions, vertical and horizontal. Vertically, Redis is important in the data cache layer to speed up the application accessing. In the data persistency layer, multiple types of database systems are used for different workloads. Elasticsearch is for the information search workloads. PolarDB for MySQL is for the online campaign workload with elasticity requirements. RDS for MySQL is for the regular financial business transactions. AnalyticDB for MySQL is the cloud data warehouse to ingest the business data and providing the BI analysis and financial risk monitoring. This architecture works well both for the scalability and the stability. PolarDB for the online campaign system also handles the burst workload with 10 times performance very easily. This is a fast-growing new retail customer with a core business operation built in Alibaba Cloud Indonesia region. From application to database, they are all cloud native. Application was built on Kubernetes and ECS with ESS for elasticity. Transactional workloads and analytical workloads are on PolarDB for MySQL and AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL respectively, to match the scaling requirements of the market promotion and the daily business pattern. Here is another picture about on-premise to cloud-native database migration. Before we do the migration, usually ADAM, Advanced Database and Application Migration, could be used to first evaluate the database profile on-premise. Use ADAM Agent Tool, which is downloadable to analyze the database schema, features, performance metrics. It will generate a comprehensive report telling you that the compatibility details. There will be an overall score, such as 95% compatible with some target alternative databases on Alibaba Cloud, including RDS and PolarDB. Oracle is a major use case for ADAM, so if the on-premise database is Oracle or other database with strong Oracle features, such as PL/SQL, then the PolarDB Oracle is the best choice target on clouds. If it is with weak Oracle features, RDS and PolarDB MySQL, PolarDB PostgreSQL are alternatives. This is the first step of migration. Database can export or backup data on OSS. OSS can be a shared storage or staging area between OLTP and OLAP. As we mentioned before, real-time business analysis is more and more important. So usually we rely on DTS, data transmission service, to synchronize data from OLTP database to OLAP data warehouse, such as AnalyticDB. So the solution of combining these two, PolarDB and AnalyticDB, can provide you the extensive data processing capability with fast elasticity, high performance, as well as cost efficiency, which is the cloud-native features that can benefit from. Please scan the QR code to learn more about our cloud-native database products, PolarDB, AnalyticDB for MySQL, and AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL. Okay, that's all for today's part of PolarDB and AnalyticDB. Hope you enjoy this and do not hesitate to try them out on Alibaba Cloud. We are always together with you to help your business growth. Thank you and stay tuned for more great content. Back to you, James.
Thank you, Julian, for the deep dive into our cloud-native database solutions. As I mentioned earlier, database migration can be a daunting task, and I can see the potential risks along the migration path. Our next speaker, Wei Shan, a database architect who has tremendous amount of experience helping customers manage their database migration, will share about real-world scenarios from customer stories. He will introduce how Alibaba Cloud's database expert service can make the whole migration process a lot easier for you, including assistance in improving database performance massively by redesigning architecture and applying best practices in performance engineering. Hey Wei Shan, please connect and start your sharing.
Thank you, James, for the kind introduction. My name is Wei Shan. I'm a database architect within the Alibaba Database Product Group. I have about 9 to 10 years of experience working in large enterprises or in smaller startups where I manage and scale databases, performance tuning, performance engineering. In my current role in Alibaba, I work alongside with our database solution experts to help customers to manage and scale their databases, to migrate their databases from on-premise database to Alibaba Cloud databases, and to work on any performance issues that they have. Today, I will be sharing some of the customer stories that I've been working with personally over the last couple of months. Today's topic is enhance your business, improve the customer experience with database expert service. There are 4 topics that I want to touch on today. Introduction, a case study about fintech company, a case study about online gaming company, and the summary. Introduction. Today within Alibaba Group, we have a lot of different business units: Youku, Taobao, Tmall, Hema, and Feizu. Below it, it's all supported by Alibaba Cloud, Alimama, the marketing platform, logistics like Cainiao, and our financial service, Mai and Financial. One unique thing about the Alibaba Database product group is that our group supports the entire databases for the entire Alibaba group. This puts us in a very unique advantage where we support the knowledge that we get from supporting internal customers can be applied to external customers like yourself. And databases within our Alibaba group is pretty high. The traffic and the work and the load on it is tremendous. Today, we are the world's leading database technologies company. We have more than 100,000 enterprise users, 400,000 database migrated to Alibaba Cloud. Year-on-year growth is about 115%. During last year of Double 11, we processed 554,000 orders per second. This is orders, this is not database transactions. And as of last year, 100% of our core infrastructure is on Alibaba Cloud. This means that the technology that we use to support our largest event in the world, Double 11, can be used by you as well, our customers. And today on Alibaba Cloud, we have more than 26 different database services and offerings for you to use. This is an overview of our Alibaba Cloud databases portfolio. We have our OLTP engine, OLAP engine, NoSQL engine. On the OLTP side, we have PolarDB, our cloud-native database engine. On the OLAP side, we have our cloud-native data warehousing solution, AnalyticDB. And NoSQL side, we have all the famous and popular ones like Mongo, Cassandra, Redis. And on the tools and utility, we have our DTS, Data Transmission Service, Adam, our Oracle database and application migration evaluation service, DMS, our one single pane of management for managing multiple databases in hybrid or multi-cloud environment, DBS, our single database backup service used to perform database backup across multi or hybrid cloud environment. Today, PolarDB is available in international region. Some of the features of PolarDB is 100% compatible with MySQL, Postgres. Scaling out by adding a read-only node takes only less than 5 minutes. Scaling up or scaling down takes only 15 minutes, 6 times faster than your open source MySQL. Highly scalable storage up to 100 terabyte. Single node failure has 0 data loss. We have RPO equals to 0. And delay between primary and read-only is only in milliseconds. AnalyticDB is also available in international region today. We have 2 versions, the Postgres version and the MySQL version. It's cloud native as well with our storage and compute decoupled. Supports up to petabytes capacity. We have achieved several TPCS benchmark awards, and #1 for the last 2 years. Let's look at a case study that I work on personally, a fintech e-wallet platform. So this customer is one of the largest e-wallet platform in Southeast Asia. The platform itself, the mobile application itself, is highly adopted within the country. It's millions of registered users. Every month, they process millions of transactions. So this is a very high volume application. And any impact to it can be felt throughout the country. And the development team to operations team ratio is about 25:1. So you can see that the operations team are pretty overwhelmed by the amount of development work that has been thrown to them. And the DBA, from what I understand, it's less than 5 of them, I think. So it's not great. Like the DBAs are overwhelmed by all the work. This is a high-level architecture of their current application. All the apps are deployed across multiple Kubernetes engine, connected to a single RDS MySQL instance, and then from there uses DTS to do real-time streaming out into a data warehouse and then out to external systems for external system to consume the data. It's a very monolithic architecture. They run on MySQL 5.6, quite a outdated version, I would say. They are currently running the largest specification on RDS, 60 cores of memory, 470 gigabytes, 60 cores of CPU, sorry, and 470 gigabytes of memory. It's about, the database size is about 3 terabytes. And one interesting thing to note is that their entire development team uses ORM to do the interaction with the database. So how this whole project started was because they had a sales promotion last year or so, and it was one of the massive promotion that they were doing. So on that fateful day, the special promotion was supposed to start at 10 o'clock in the morning. And once they enable the promotion feature, and the traffic spikes up to 100 times. 10 minutes after 10 o'clock in the morning, the database crashed. And throughout the entire day, they tried to restart the database, but every time you restarted, the database crashed. So the DBA manager called me immediately. So alongside with our database solution expert, we went in to see what's happening. As you can imagine, during the day itself, there was a lot of firefighting, a lot of frustrations because everyone thinks that the database is at fault. So there was a lot of finger pointing. It was messy, right? So we look into it. We look into the issues. We realized that there were a high number of connection count. There was a lot of pessimistic locking on the tables. In general, the database, the development team has not a lot of database expertise. They didn't know how to write SQL statements. They didn't know what is the purpose of indexes. They did a lot of coding that has a lot of deadlock logic inside. There's not a lot of primary keys inside. So the first issue, high connections count. We found out that at peak period, there was about 64,000 connection to the MySQL database. This is quite a lot of database connections, right? 64,000 to 60 core. The reason was because each of the application replicas set in the Kubernetes engine has 1,000 connections configured, and there's 64 of them. So at the highest peak period, 64,000 of them, 64,000 of the connections were being established in the database. So you can see on the right, this is some of the benchmark that the MySQL team from Oracle has done. When the number of connections increase, the transactions will increase, but up to a certain point, it will start to drop. And the latency on point select, as the number of connections increase, the latency will increase as well. So the idea is this, right? You don't have more than 64. You don't have the rule of thumb is this: one core can handle about two connections. So for a 60 core machine, maximum you can configure probably about 100 to 200 connections. So there needs to be some sort of connection pooling in front, or you have to limit the applications on the replica set on the Kubernetes cluster. The second issue, there was a lot of pessimistic locking. They like to use select for update. So on the InnoDB transaction engine, we could see that there was a lot of row lock contention. So some of the row lock contention, the select for update, could be rewrite into a better way. There's a better way of doing it. So instead of using pessimistic locking, we can use optimistic locking. Basically, the idea is this: you put a timestamp column on the table. On the first select, you retrieve the table and store it in your application. And then on the second time when you want to try to write the data, you check on the timestamp column. If the row has not been changed, you update the row. If the row has been changed, then you have to do from step one again. Obviously, this is not this optimistic locking cannot be done for all the application logic, but I'm sure this can be replaced some of the logic within their application for better concurrency. The third issue, which I feel is the largest problem, was that there was a serious lack of database expertise within the development team. They didn't know how to write SQL statements. They forgot to commit the transactions that was leaving hanging there. When they generate the SQL script to pass through the DBAs, there's a lot of duplicate indexes, and they didn't create any primary keys at all because they think they didn't need it, so they stopped doing it. So all of this, there was some things that I found that was quite scary, was that on a single column, there could be 4 or 5 different indexes. So duplicate indexes are bad, right? If they don't have any benefits at all. Instead, it just slow down your inserts and updates. And in MySQL, you should definitely have a primary key no matter what. The reason is because primary key is being, the table structure is being organized by the primary key that you set. So if you don't set a primary key, MySQL will have its own internal primary key being set to, and it's not very optimal, especially if you want to do replication, that sort of things. So one of the tools that we brought in to assist them was DMS, Data Management Service. So Data Management Service is our single database development and the supports development and production R&D kind of environment for customers. It basically is a UI that you can do a lot of things like management of the database, like export, import data. You can perform custom data masking. You can do database ticket workflow. So these are some of the core capabilities of DMS. One of the things that we wanted to introduce was the change stability features of DMS. So it's kind of changing their process flow, right? The idea is that once a developer checks out the SQL code from GitHub, they submit it to DMS, and then the DMS itself will do some smart scanning on the script to check if there's any issue with the script. After that, you'll be routed to the DBA. The DBA can do a double check to make sure everything is fine. And then once the DBA approves, it can be further routed to the manager, or it can be executed against the database straight away. So this means that the DBA doesn't have to do a lot of work to do. There's not too much work for the DBA to do. Basically, you just have to manage and ensure that there's no slow queries or duplicate indexes being created. So this helps to streamline the workflow significantly and reduce the workload of the DBA. So with the high DBA with the high ratio of developer to operations, so this can be very, very helpful. And then when there's any large big SQL statement, DMS will also be able to check for unique index automatically and help to split up the SQL if possible. So this is a smart engine that's able to do this automatically whenever a user submit a SQL script. And for large table structure in MySQL, in version 5.6, there's usually a full table lock on it, so it affects production by a lot. But in DMS, we have a lock-free DDL capability where if you submit a DDL script to DMS for MySQL, it will be able to do it lock-free. So the way it works is very similar to how GitHub Ghost works. Basically, it will start tracking the changes it will duplicate the table, start tracking for the changes in the bin log, and then after that, replay the changes. Very minimal impact on the source database. Next up is one of our customers for online gaming platform. So this customer background is slightly different. It's a startup in Southeast Asia. The table size is very large as well. It's about 20 to 40 terabytes. They were using PolarDB with 2 nodes, a read-write node and a read-only node. All their transactions are mostly OLTP, short-lived transactional point selects kind of queries. They also have a user ranking and dashboards requirement. And one of the very unique challenges that we have with them was that they require sub-milliseconds response time on a database. So they're also deploying on Kubernetes, using Redis as a cache layer as well. So some of the issues that we had while working with them was they had a lot of common problems with connection storm. When, let's say, they open up their servers or there's special promotion. A lot of users started connecting in, and it created an issue with the database. The table is very, very large. It has about 30 billion records. The data size is about 20 to 30 terabytes. And during peak period, we were actually not able to sustain the low latency requirement. There was some spikes every now and then. There was some of the unoptimized select queries and some deadlocks as well. So some of the problems, like the previous customer, we could do it with basic changing of the user behavior, the developers, some of the optimization that we can throw in, and it's all done. But for some problems, like this customers, we had to remodel the architecture. We have to do some data modeling as well, change the architecture basically to support that kind of requirement. So instead of everything connecting to a single database, we started to push them towards, we work with them, and then we deploy a microservices architecture where so we throw in a ADB as well. So basically this ADB will support their user ranking and their dashboard requirements. So most of the heavy read queries will be directed to ADB, whereas the PolarDB will be used to support all the OLTP workload. There's some of the, and then we also propose them to do table partitioning to spread out the load, because with table partitioning, you could do partition pruning when you do the select queries or any updates, that it will prune and find the correct partition straight away. Then also we work with, we introduce thread pooling, connection pooling, and some of the write optimizations to it. So quick introduction about AnalyticDB. AnalyticDB is highly compatible with MySQL and Postgres, highly concurrent. We can support up to 140,000 writes per second. Very high concurrency reads as well. Basically, when you buy an ADB instance in Alibaba Cloud, you get node groups, clusters of nodes. So the nodes will be split into write nodes and read nodes. This means that your write path and read path are actually separated out. So it wouldn't affect each other whenever you're doing bulk reading or bulk loading. This is the concept of connection pooling and thread pooling in Alibaba PolarDB 8.0. What we did was, there's a feature that you can enable on PolarDB that allows you to do connection pooling. So instead of using every single thread handles one incoming connections, basically you build a connection pool, and then from that it will handle the connection storm. This will resolve the connection storm problems coming in from the customer side to the database. The other feature that we enabled was thread pooling. Basically, thread pooling, instead of having single user, when a query comes in, instead of a user thread supporting this particular client ID from start until the end, the thread pool will be able to, when it's offloading the query to the storage side, we'll be able to do a context switch and support other client. And then when the results is returned back, it will do a context switch and then pick up the query back again. So we can use the same amount of user thread, but maximize the support for high number of clients. So together with connection pooling and thread pooling, we're able to resolve the issue of high concurrency connection storms issue. So for write optimization, we have the RAM conjecture. Basically, the idea is this: in the theory of the paper itself, between read optimized, write optimized, and space optimized, you can only choose 2 out of 3. So there are trade-offs between the read, write, and the space utilization. These are some of the things that we have developed to support those customers. There was a lot of optimizations that we did, but I chose to talk about this 3. So the first one, simulated AIO, asynchronous IO. In the traditional MySQL AIO algorithm, basically it's a single array that supports the read and write. So it's a single mutex, so there's a lot of contention over it. So what we did was we implemented our own IO, AIO. We call it simulated AIO. So we have multiple array queues that has individual mutexes for each of the queue. So there's a lot less contention. there's a lot less contention for it. The other one is buffer pool 30-page latch flushing. So in the traditional way is that whenever you have when you get a page out of the pool, you modify it and then you return it back to the buffer pool. There's a certain period of time where you need to hold to this buffer page, and during this time that you're working on it, other session can't modify it because the latch is on it. What we did was before you modify the page, we will pick up the page from the buffer pool. We'll make a copy of it, so it returns back to the buffer pool. And then once we modify it, we'll flush it to our own memory pool called the copy page pool. And then asynchronously, it will be flushed back and merged together alongside with the buffer pool itself. So this is really cool, right? Fill factor. So MySQL has your open source MySQL has this as well. Tables are indexed organized 16 kilobytes per page. Instead of having the 90% table, having the data full for a single page, we set it to 50%. So there's a lot less chance for page splitting, and also that will reduce the chance of your leaf node balancing as well. It will increase the space usage because we are having more space. We are having more available space within a single page, but this will improve the writes significantly for this customer because of the way they require. So by having this fill factor set to 50%, we can reduce the chance of having latency spikes, because now there won't be a period where it will take slightly longer to write to the storage because it was doing B3 leaf node balancing. So we're trying to reduce the chances of having spikes. Summary. Basically, the database expert team in our Alibaba database product group, we work with them a lot. Our database architect team work with them a lot. They are the ones that support W11 event. They are the ones that support our internal customers. We have different experts in the team, from MySQL, Postgres to Redis. They work very, very closely with the database kernel developers team. So I will work together with the solution experts, find out what's wrong, do some data modeling for the customers. If there's some issues that we can't resolve due to certain limitations of the engines, we will then work together with the database developers to find if there's a way we can do it, to solve it in other means. And the right optimization was one of the things that we came up with after working with the developers. Each of the members within the database expert team, they have a minimum of 10 years of experience supporting internal and external customers. Most of the experts in the team itself has been supporting W11 for the last 10 years, I would say. So they are really, really experienced guys. The team itself supports a wide variety of databases as well, from PolarDB, ADB, GraphDB, HBase, Greenplum, Postgres. Yep. So alongside with the database expert team, we are quite confident that we can help you to migrate to Alibaba Cloud. If you need any assistance, if you need any, we provide custom trainings as well. If you need any specialized trainings, if you have performance issues, we are very happy to come in to help you. If you have scaling problems, you need someone to look at your data model, you need someone to do some work alongside with you to develop a new application for the database, how to build a cloud native architecture, we are there to help you. That's all. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Weishan, for introducing our expert service. For those interested in exploring database migration, please feel free to contact us and ask about Database Expert Service. Next is our special guest, Ming Pei from Kopi Kenangan. Ming Pei is a business intelligence expert, and he will share his perspective on how to leverage database solutions to resolve real business challenges. Let's welcome Ming Pei to Connect.
Thank you, James. Hello, everyone. This is Ming Pei Yang, and I'm a business intelligence engineer at Kopi Kenangan. Today, I will show you how we build the real-time data processing with a RedFit solution using Alibaba Cloud products. First of all, I will introduce our company background and give you a brief introduction of our scenario. Then, I'll show you our solutions and the architectures of our real-time data processing. Lastly, I'll end up with the conclusion why we choose Alibaba Cloud, and hopefully that could be helpful for your business. So who we are and what we do. We are Kopi Kengen, a rising coffee chain company in Indonesia. We were founded in 2017 and target to make quality and fresh coffee affordable to Indonesian consumers. Apart from an extensive footprint of over 300 retail stores, the company also started the integration of online and offline by making use of on-demand services like Gojek and Grab. By the end of 2019, it is estimated that our online transactions accounted for 1/3 of all orders, and online business is increasing dramatically. Our company is also a data-driven company. We analyzed our data for identifying ideal locations of new stores and also for improving our product and improving user experiences and also optimizing inventory management. These are all important to us because we are a customer-first company. That's why we always try to meet and personalize their needs. However, in the late 2019, we are facing data explosion as we opened a lot of new stores and ran several big campaigns. Our database are running out of space. We have to delete and transfer our database for new transactions coming in. We really need new data processing solutions for our business. Luckily, we met Alibaba Cloud. So how did Alibaba Cloud solve our problem? And what's the current architecture of our data processing? Let me show you. Today, the most significant shift in retail in Southeast Asia is the shift from offline to online, and to provide personalized shopping experience. Our company is one of the pioneers in executing the O2O strategy among our rivals in Indonesia. Throughout the journey, the existing applications are not able to meet the requirements of growing online business in the next few aspects. If you are facing similar problem with us, the Alibaba Cloud probably can help you out. Here, I listed all the Alibaba Cloud products that we have used for our Redfit solutions. All of our backend services are running on the Kubernetes ECS cluster. It's easy to deploy and extend. When our clusters are running out of resources, it will automatically add more workers into the cluster, and all of our services are in Kubernetes containers, which is very convenient for developing, maintaining, and redeploying. And for our data, we use two kinds of databases. First, we use the fast, flexible, and scalable PolarDB engine, which was tested by the best practice of Alibaba Double 11 campaign for storing and processing our real-time transactions data. Then, we used Alibaba Cloud's Data Transmission Service, aka DTS, to sync the PolarDB's data into ADB-PG in real time for BI analysis. The analytic DB for PostgreSQL, which known as ADB-PG, is actually using the pivotal grid plum as the core. So it can provide the very easy, super fast, super efficient, and terabyte level data warehousing solutions. During our usage of ADB-PG, we already experienced warehouse out of space and slowdown of the query speed. But beyond our imagination, the upgrade of ADB-PG is super easy. We just purchased and confirmed our new configuration on Alibaba Cloud, and 5 minutes later, we got doubled our ADB-PG storage space and much more faster query speed without any coding. We also use SYN for improving our network and OSS for optimizing storage. But most importantly, we got DataWorks. It's the core of our BI big data processing. All of our fact tables and aggregate tables and most ETL tasks are deployed and running on DataWorks. It's the place where magic happened, the powerful tool that transformed our raw data into real values. Now, let's talk about our architecture. Since Alibaba Cloud have servers all over the world, we've chosen the server in Jakarta to serve most of our customers with best services. Firstly, as you can see on the top of this figure, the data from our in-app users and store post machines will flow into our Alibaba Cloud ECS through the Alibaba Elastic IP address and DNS private zone. And our maintenance user and third services can use the load balancer and NAT to log into our system or transfer data. Then, after we got all the data and access to the server, the data will flow into the PolarDB with the help of OSS service and Redis. Then we used Alibaba Cloud's DTS service to sync the data into ADB-PG in real time, so that we can use analyzing and visualization tools such as Metabase and Grafana to give real-time reports and anomaly data monitor, and also non-real-time data analysis and data mining. For the architecture of our BI system, we used ADB-PG as our real-time data warehouse. We used DataWorks for updating most of our auto ETL queries, and Airflow on Kubernetes to deal with more complicated or legacy ETL tasks such as Talent Java tasks. Those ETL tasks will update daily or hourly based on the using frequency. After we clean up the data, we can do the analysis. We got 3 online open-source BI report systems to show the data to different levels of users. The Metabase is the core system. It's easy to build and fast to develop, and even have pause function to mail related personnel. We use this platform to service most departments of our company. The Grafana is the platform we use for access restriction related reports, so that for each managers, they'll only see the data under their names but can't see others. We also use Grafana to monitor our ECS and other Alibaba Cloud services. The superset is something new we used for developing advanced visualizations and reports for C-levels. Except doing reports and analysis on those 3 platforms, we also use Python machine learning packages such as scikit-learn and TensorFlow to build machine learning models such as common sentiment analysis models, time series forecasting system, and cluster models for customers. Our company executes an offensive data strategy, which focuses on optimizing data analytics, modeling, visualization, transformation, and enrichment. By adopting AnalyticDB, PolarDB, DataWorks, and integrating third-party solutions such as Metabase, Grafana, Superset, Airflow, and Talent, the company builds a real-time data warehouse. Through data transmission service, a database operation tool, a single source of data stored in OLTP PolarDB can be synchronized into OLAP AnalyticDB within seconds. So what is PolarDB? PolarDB is a proprietary OLTP database that Alibaba Cloud released in August 2019. It supports high concurrent transactions with data storage up to 100 terabytes. And what is ADB-PG? AnalyticDB for PostgreSQL is a massive parallel processing data warehousing service, which supports high-performance interactive query and handles end-to-end analytics workflow without friction. In the end, let's talk about why we chosen Alibaba Cloud. First of all, it is a world-class public cloud provider with a strong local presence in Indonesia, very reliable. Secondly, it has strong track record in O2O operations and customer references. Once more, Alibaba Cloud dedicated local and global technical expertise to support R&D team based in various locations. We can always easily get tech experts from Alibaba Cloud to help us. Lastly, it has right fit of solutions featured with high scalability and availability to meet business requirements. One more thing, how did Alibaba Cloud help us to achieve the robust business outcome? To begin with, they provide application aggregation complete within 1 week without disruption on our business operation. Then, they provide us purpose-built business intelligence with real-time data analytics, and powers our integration and seamless customer experience from offline to online. Once more, they reinforce the data-driven decision-making process for our O2O operation. And last but not the least, they also proven cost savings on system operation and maintenance in the event of fast-growing real-time data volume. That's our story with Alibaba Cloud and experience of data processing solutions. I hope it could be helpful for your own business. Thank you.
It's always so great to work with our clients and to learn from each other on how to improve our own products and services. Thank you, Ming Pei, for sharing your story. Coming up next is our final speaker, Steve Xue. Steve is our training advisor, and he will be introducing our special product launch offer along with free database solution training and certification programs. Steve will also share a quiz link during our conference, which is a 15-question quiz, and you will receive, if passed, a certification of attendance. For those of you who will be watching the conference on demand, please pay attention to your email inbox as we will be sharing the quiz link via email as well. Hey Steve, please connect.
Hi James, hey everyone. This is Steve from Alibaba Cloud Academy team. It's such a great honor to be able to talk in the last session. Without any further delay, let's start.
Okay, in this session, I'm going to majorly introduce 2 parts. Firstly, I'm going to give a PolarDB and ADB products promotion. Then I will introduce database-related free training and certification program. Here is our PolarDB and AnalyticDB promotion program. So we provided the first month cost only $1 for a trial event for PolarDB and AnalyticDB's new purchase customers, which means from today, and this program will last for 3 months. And if you can make a 1-year subscription for either PolarDB or AnalyticDB, the first month of the course will be almost free. Really rare opportunity. Please try to grab it. Let our PolarDB and AnalyticDB to be able to help and empower your business. Oh, don't forget to take the quiz today. If you listened to the previous session, we prepare a quiz for you. You can scan the QR code to directly reach the quiz from your cell phone, or you can put the link into your browser to do it from your laptop. If you can pass it, you can immediately get a certificate. This is a cloud level online lightweight certification, and you can even share it through your social network. Now, you may already purchased our PolarDB or AnalyticDB, but you may be wondering, how can I get more information and even get trained for those products? Please allow me to introduce Alibaba Cloud Academy service for you. In our Alibaba Cloud Academy service, we provide training and certification service, not only for online learning, but also we have classroom training, including some online labs. We also provide the professional certification service, starting from the cloud computing, including cloud security, big data. Especially, we have a special design track for database and even cloud native database. Needless to say, we also empower the college and universities to have some academic collaboration with them. Or you are running a training facility, you can think of maybe you want to start a training partner program with us. This is just a quick overview about Alibaba Cloud Academy service. But we do have a very carefully designed program for database-related training and certification. Now I'm going to introduce the training first. We have 2 series database training. First one, we call them Enterprise Database Cloud Transformation Architect Training Series, which means if you may want to migrate your enterprise database to the cloud, especially to Alibaba Cloud. How can you do that? We give you a very comprehensive step-by-step operation and administration guidance to help you to go through this journey. So we have an instructor-led training series
including the ACA and ACP level training courses. So if you don't know what is ACA and ACP, I'm going to introduce this later. In this training series, and you can master the methodology of the enterprise level database migration. After your database was already moved to the cloud, we also have another training series prepared for you. It's called Cloud Databases Administration and Development. On this series, we have both online and instructor-led 2 types of the trainings. For the online part, you can just learn all these kind of small pieces of training courses by yourself. We covered from the data migration to the OLTP, OLAP, NoSQL, and the database ecosystem tools, the different category, and the different cloud learning courses. For the instructor-led course, we also have an overview of database solution of Alibaba Cloud. And for the PolarDB, we also have some other courses prepared for you. So here is our professional certification service. We have associate, professional, and expert level different certification. Besides those classic learning track, the cloud computing, big data, and the security, we also prepare the database specific certifications for you, including the Enterprise Database Cloud Transformation Architect. We have ACA and ACP level certification. For the cloud native database, which is majorly now talking about PolarDB, we also have ACA, ACP, and ACE certification on the development. So if you have finished our database training, so you are so welcome to join our certification exam and get those professional certifications. So if you are sales, you can target our ACA level certificate. But if you are solution architect or operation and maintenance, or even a developer, you can choose the different certification for you. I think you can always find someone suitable for you to help you to develop your career path. Now you have an overview about the trainings and certification we prepare for database experts. But we do have a long-term training and certification support plan for anyone who joined today's event. So please, using your cell phone to scan this QR code now to join our DingTalk support group. In this group, we will regularly release some of the training and offerings. For everyone who joined our DingTalk group, you will get 5 free online database-related cloud learning courses. And in the group, you can also contact us to tell us if you want to do some training for the enterprise database cloud transformation, so we can offer the free instructor-led training. After you take all these trainings, either online or offline, and now you want to get your people certified, for each company who finished our dedicated training, we can offer the 5 free ACA exam vouchers. Join our DingTalk group today and let us support you in the future. Thank you very much, and this will be my introduction for today's session. And let me turn my control back to our host, James.
Thank you, Steve, for that information on product offers, Alibaba Cloud's Academy coursework. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join our Database Solution Launch Conference. Remember, the first month of using PolarDB will only cost you $1. And for those who have joined our DingTalk group chat, you will also receive 5 free database clouders, which is our online certification courses, as well as free instructor-led training opportunities. Those courses and opportunities are only redeemable through joining the DingTalk group. For those who have not yet joined, please follow the link, which we will be sending by email. Also, in the follow-up email, there will be more information about our product offers, as well as guidance on how to join our training and certification programs. Please take advantage of those great offers today. I hope you enjoyed the Database Solution Launch Conference, and we'll see you in the cloud.